Hey teachers, if you use Google Slides in your classroom, I want to show you how you can take those presentations and turn them up a notch. One of the easiest ways to do that is with PearDeck. It's a versatile tool that makes your slides interactive for students. It greatly increases engagement, and it records session input for your data tracking and your instructional decision making. To get started, we need it installed. So open any Google Slides. In your File menu, click Extensions, Add-ons, Get Add-ons. In the search bar, type PearDeck and enter, and you're looking for PearDeck for Google Slides. Just click it, it'll install. It'll ask you to give permissions for it to work with your slides and save your progress of PearDecks in your Google Drive. With PearDeck installed, let's get started. To build a PearDeck from Google Slides, you can either open an existing Google Slide deck that you have completed and modify it. You could start from scratch. Just open up a blank Google Slide and open PearDeck and build as you go. You could also use a template from PearDeck's Content Orchard. The Content Orchard is a library of PearDeck's pre-made full presentations that are fully customizable. Whichever way you choose to start, and I'll tell you a little bit more about the Content Orchard in a minute, just open that slide deck and open PearDeck while you're working. So when you load PearDeck, it may give you this shortcut in your File menu. If you don't see that shortcut, just go under your extensions, find PearDeck for Google Slides add-on, and open PearDeck. PearDeck is going to open a sidebar on the right-hand side. May look a little intimidating or overwhelming because there is an awful lot in here. We are not going to go over everything. We are going to go over the basics that I think would be most beneficial to you to get started and be able to build a PearDeck that you can work with your students today. If you'll scroll down on the sidebar to almost the bottom, you'll see where it says Featured Content. This is one of at least 3 ways to access the Content Orchard from this sidebar. So very quickly, I just want you to see the resources that are available to you if this is where you'd like to start. So all of these PearDecks, they can be sorted by subject. My favorite filter would be to go by grade level. So if I were to look at first grade, for instance, I would see some pre-made templates, and these are constantly being added to. Some are just fun slide decks that you might use for any number of reasons, and some are certified. The certified slide decks are grade level content specific based on Common Core, but they're all customizable. So I could start with one of these slide decks and make it adjusted to fit the needs of my own students. So to get started, I want to look here at this template library. Now everything in the content library, the orchard that I was just showing you, are full presentations. The template library are slide templates that can be added, used as is, anywhere in my slides, or they can be modified. Again, everything's customizable. This library has grown so much, and they continue to add great slides for you to use. They have them sorted here on the right. You'll see beginning of lesson, during lesson slides, end of lesson slides. So maybe you need a bell ringer, or maybe you need an exit ticket. Next, you're going to see another button that opens up the Content Orchard. These development slides for critical thinking. Some really great graphic organizers in here. Social emotional learning, and then some that are separated by subject area. So again, graphic organizers, all levels, and I can adjust the levels, text, whatever I need. This littles category is going to have a lot more draggable slides and drawing slides versus maybe text response slides. So if you do teach K through 2, that would be a really good place to look for templates as well. Here's an example of how to just add one of these and what it looks like. If I go to during the lesson and I've maybe done my content development and want to see how my students are feeling before I set them on independent practice, This is one of my favorite slides. I use probably every slide deck that I have. Just click on the slide. You'll see it populate into your slide deck. Again, I can change this to whatever. Maybe I want this at the beginning and I want to know how was your weekend. Or maybe I want to know how you're feeling about division. With all of these below customizable, I can use it for anything that I need to. All right, now, what about making those slides that I already have and use in my class and turning them into interactive slides? So moving up a little more, you'll see this Ask Students a Question section with tools that I can use on the slides that already exist. So maybe you typically will have students give verbal responses or write on dry erase boards and show you. If you're not taking anecdotal notes, you don't get a lot of data that you can keep from those. Maybe you do paper exit tickets and then you stack them up and find out late in the day that some student didn't turn in their exit ticket or left your class with confusion that was not conveyed in the middle of the lesson, and now time has passed with that misconception lodging into their memory. Using these tools on the slides, I actually am going to have an immediate idea of how the students are doing, and I'm also going to be able to give them feedback right away, as well as having trackable data that I have saved. So pretending that this slide is some type of content prompt, I can add a text response for students to the existing slide. Just clicking on the tool, you'll see the bar pop up at the bottom. The students get prompted with a slide that looks like this, but a window pops up on their right-hand side for them to respond. If I'm in math and I want them to respond just with a number answer, looks the same, but you see the icon's different and students will enter a number as their answer. Multiple choice, maybe you're doing a standardized test review and you want students to enter based on what they're going to see, and they're going to see an A, B, C, or D answer choices. So those could be true or false. Just delete, add as you need. Now this draw and draggable, we saw that there were draw and draggable slides in the template library, but the draw and draggable slides, or rather the draw and draggable tool are premium features. So to use an existing slide, I can't turn it into a draw slide or a draggable slide. I can, however, use one of the drawing and draggable slides that are down available in the template library and then just change that slide to reflect the information that I have on my original slide, and that's the way to do that on the free version. A few other things I wanted to point out are every slide does not have to be a PearDeck Interactive. If I have a slide with a video on it, I can leave it as is. I wanted to point out that every slide does not have to be interactive. If you have a focus video that you like to use and you plug it on a slide, or you have links to an exit ticket or some other digital activity you want students to complete during or after the PearDeck, you can just leave those on the slide as is and students can access them from their PearDeck session. With your PearDeck ready to go, you just click the Start Lesson button. And then you have two options. You have the option of a teacher-paced session where you control the slide progression and the time spent on each slide, and you see the students' responses in real time. Or the student-paced session where students are in control of their individual session and work at their own pace independently. Student-led sessions are started and ended by the teacher, with an option to allow students to continue to work when the session is closed. So that's a great feature for homework. Just to demonstrate, I'm going to do a whole group instructor-paced activity. I usually, for a whole group especially, will just display this on the front screen. Students will type joinpd.com into the URL bar and then be prompted to type in the session code. The session code is unique to each session that you start, regardless of the PearDeck slides that you're using. You could also start the session and copy the student's link and then post that in their Google Classroom or their learning management system for students to click the link and open directly into the beginning of the PearDeck. All right, I wanted to try this side by side to give you an idea of what the session might look like. So this is a whole group session or a teacher-led session, and I have shared the link with the student. The student has logged in with the code, and they're given this question asking how they're feeling, and it's going to take them to the first slide of the PearDeck. The teacher's screen is looking for the number of students who have logged in. So when I have all of my students logged in, I'll start the class. If this is a student-led independent activity, I can start the class as soon as I have one student and they can continue at their own pace. This being whole group, you'll see that on the left-hand side, my teacher side, I have arrows to project the slides. So if I move through the slides, I'm going to look for one that I added. So here is an example of a student slide where the student clicks on the icon and drags that to respond to the prompt in the way that they feel suits them. Moving on to, all right, so we left this as a multiple choice. I'll go widescreen so you can see on the right hand side the student has a box to respond to their answers. I didn't actually write in the answer choices. That is why this is left as blank. They would normally see true and false or A, B, C, D answer choices. So when you've finished, these are clickable from the student's screen to just open up in a new window. And when you've finished going through all of your slides, then you have the end button here. So when I click end, it asks me to name the session. It asks the student, how did it go? And then it saves that session in the directory for me. When you've ended the session and named it, it usually will take you directly to that saved location, but I wanted to show you where to get to it from your slide deck. So over in your PearDeck sidebar, there's a menu button, and you can see review sessions. That opens up that saving bank for you. And so you can see where this trial one was closed, and you can use this menu to reopen it, rename it, archive it, or export the data to a spreadsheet. I think that that information will get you off to a great start, and I hope you have a great time making PearDeck sessions with your students.